Big bar upgrade is finished. You can see with the handguards that I have on here now. All right, now that the bars are off, you can see the difference in the bend. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, do that thing down below. Finally, I'm in a position to finish up the video on doing the big bar upgrade. I changed out the stock KTM 1-inch bars to a ProTaper Contour 1.1/8" bar. I changed the sweep on the bar from, I'm guessing, about 19 degrees on the stock to 15 degrees or approximately 15 degrees on the new bar that I put in. Now, the reasons I did this, there's basically 4 of them. One primary reason, and then because of an off I had in February, it generated some other reasons I needed to do this. So the main reason I did this is I wanted to get that sweep a little bit more forward. What that does is it moves the grip ends of the handlebars forward about 2 inches. So it creates more cockpit space. What I was trying to do was move a little bit further forward where my arms are in a neutral position when I'm riding on the road, but when I'm standing, I'm a little bit further forward, getting a little bit more weight over the front end. And the other thing that does is with that sweep, it allows your elbows to open up a little bit more. You're not as tucked in with that more of a road-oriented bar. So those are the reasons, that was the primary reason why I wanted to do this. Now, the secondary reasons were when I had the really bad off, I bent the handlebars. The right side was a little wonky, so I've been riding the last couple of months with wonky handlebars, waiting for time to change this. The other thing is I still have some issues in my wrist, still trying to recover. So that bend that I have in the wrist with the old bars was pretty tight and uncomfortable. So now that it's straightened out, my arms are a little bit straighter. My wrist doesn't have that flexion in it, so it's more in a neutral position. So it's already more comfortable riding with this setup. So I will go through the setup, what I did here, just real quick. So if you're just interested in seeing the upgrade and knowing, you know, what happens to the clutch cable, where do you route the cables around, the hand guards, things like that, I'm going to do that up front so that you don't have to watch the entire video or jump to the end. Now, if you're interested to see how to change out this handlebar and you've never changed out handlebars before, then go ahead and continue to watch, because there's a few things when you go to change the switch gear that you need to be aware of that'll be covered in the installation. And then I saved the grips. If you haven't taken grips off before, I go through that process, and it'll give you all the details you need with doing this upgrade. So right now I'll go through this. I'll let you take a look at it. I will leave links in the description below on the handlebar that I used, the bar mounts, the bar clamps that I had to replace, and then also these hand guards. And there's some reasons I use the Enduro Engineering, which I'll go into in the installation. This is just a quick overview. So let's do that right now. Here's just a view of the bars from the top, just to see what they look like. I know one of the questions is going to be what happens to the clutch cable. Here's a clutch cable. If you can see, it actually has some extra slack in it. It gave me more room on the clutch cable. There's no need to get a longer one. There's plenty of space in that. Now, there's also these cables here that run along for the switch gear. Initially, I had put these outside of the handguard, but after getting it installed and looking at it, I wanted to protect these and keep them from getting snagged. So I put them under or over the handguard next to the clutch cable. On the other side, I wasn't able to do that. The cable, the wiring is down below. There just isn't room up here. There isn't room in the handguard where the brakes come through, so the cabling had to go underneath. It doesn't have as much slack in it as this other side, so that's just the way it's gonna have to be. This is the end of the clutch perch. You're gonna see part of it sticking out in some of the installation videos. I just went ahead and cut the end of it off. I use 2 fingers when I clutch. I've never needed all this end piece here. And that way, if the bike goes down, I don't have something snagging and possibly breaking off a lot higher than where that bend is. So that is gone. This is the Enduro Engineering handguards. I went with those because of the way that the end of the bar mount clamp goes in. It's metal. It's a metal compression fitting instead of plastic, so I go over that in the installation. If you are a bigger rider, this will make a big improvement for you. Bigger being taller, longer arms, maybe longer legs, you need some more cockpit space because the handlebars themselves with this straighter bend to them, less sweep, it moves the end of the handlebars at least 2 inches forward, and that'll allow you to stretch out a little bit more. For me, it's moved me up in the seat, so now I'm more in a neutral position in the seat as opposed to being back. So I have area to move front and back and still be comfortable hanging onto the handlebars. Standing position, it feels a little bit better, but I'm gonna need a lot more time off road, so I won't speak a lot about that. It should improve because my elbows are out. Overall, again, like I said before, I should have done this a long time ago. Okay, I think I covered all of the basic things that I wanted to talk about up front in the video, show you what the setup looks like with the handguards and where I did some routing and some of the questions you have about the clutch cable, how that turns out, and getting grips changed, all of those things. So now, if you are still interested in knowing how to do this, if you've never done it before and want to go step by step, stick around. I'm going to go through pulling the old bars off and the installation of the new ones. So if it's something you are interested in doing, you know what you're in for. It's not technically difficult, but there are a few little tips and tricks in doing this that I think is worthwhile watching. So anyway, let's get started on that. Let's start off by going through the things that you're going to need if you're going to do this. Obviously, the first thing is a handlebar. Making your choice of handlebar is kind of up to you. Again, I wanted something that didn't have quite the sweep to it, and I wasn't able to figure out exactly what the degree is, but I went with ProTaper Contour Factory Suzuki KTM Stock size. I got these off of Rocky Mountain ATV and MC. I think they were $80. There's a lot of other brands out there. You can spend a heck of a lot more on handlebars if you choose to. This is what I went with. I think it'll be fine. So first thing is handlebars. The next thing you're gonna need is some bar mounts or clamps, bar clamps that fit 1 1/8. These are bar clamps made for a 500 EXC, any of the dirt bike lines. And it's the same block design as risers and everything for these KTMs. It seems like it's a fairly standard type of mount. Now, I don't know if the KTM 790, 890 Adventure mounts are the same and if they would work on there, because I know that theirs move back and forth. I don't exactly know what the positioning on those are, but I went with the something for the 500 EXC and some of the off-road bikes because of the design. Let's see, I also picked up a set of spare grips. I am planning to try to remove without tearing up the grips that are already on there. Throttle will be fine, that'll slide off. But the clutch side, the left-hand side, I want to save that grip. So I'm going to do what I can to get it off without damaging it. But in the event I do, I picked up a set of OD Rogue grips. I love these grips on my mountain bike. They're soft, they are grippy, and if I damage that one, I'll put these on. Now, I went with the Enduro Engineering handguards. One of the reasons I did that is I was looking at the way that the bar end goes into the handlebar, and because it's a metal clamping design that spreads out as you push, as you tighten it up, I wanted metal, not the rubber, not plastic. I wanted something that had a much more solid clamping design, and I will show that in much more detail when I go to put on these handguards. And of course, they have the aluminum backbone to them to save clutch levers. And in some of the riding I've done, I've hit tree limbs that if I didn't have good handguards could have potentially pulled the brakes, different things like that, or smashed through the plastic ones and hit my hand. So I came close to doing that as well. So I've got these. I purchased a second clutch cable in case I need to reroute the current clutch cable, or if I have difficulty, I've got another one to mess with to try to get the routing right and just leave that one in there. I also just thought I would have a spare now that I'm starting to get a lot of dirty miles on the bike, and it never hurts to have a spare clutch cable. They're pretty small, light, and easy to carry. So that's what I have for doing this job. Real quick interruption. I just wanted to let you know that, as you can see, that I've already done the project But this was the first time I've changed handlebars on a bike, and I know there's a couple little quirks to it, and I was working through those issues. I know the switch gear has some centering pins, so I was trying to figure out which side had it, which side didn't, how things come apart, and then the distance for cables and lines and wires to make sure that I could get the switch gear off going one direction or another, which one needed to be first or second. So with those things in mind, the editing might be a little bit choppy trying to follow. I did the best I could to demonstrate what you need to do if this is something you're interested in. It's not a big deal, but because it was the first time I did it, if you decide to do it, you can just follow the instructions I have on here and figure out all those steps. First things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the mirrors off and then get the handguards taken off. And then once I get the handguards taken off, I'm gonna start working on getting this grip over here removed. I'm gonna do the best I can to preserve it. I'm not just gonna cut it off. I would like to save it to keep the same grips on both sides for now. I'm thinking about in the fall putting on some heated grips. At that point in time, I'll figure out what I want to do. But right now, the focus is getting the bars changed. So I'm not going to show all of those steps. I'm just going to get to it. And then as I get to the more important things, I'll show those. All right, I'm going to work to get this grip off. I want to try to save it the best I can. Run this in. I ran something really long all the way into the back and pushed through, and with the flexibility of the grip, it is off, and I can clean it, let the WD-40 dry in it, and then I can reuse this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the bar clamps. I'm just going to loosen them right now so that the bars don't just slop around, but I need to have some movement in them so I can start getting all the mounting, the switch gear and the levers loosened and slide off. So I just want to start with this so I can manipulate the bars. I'm going to work on taking the throttle gear off here. There are 2 Phillips screws holding this together. Now I haven't taken this apart, so I'm not sure what else I need to do, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. I've been working the switch gear in different ways. I'm just going to jump to what I've found is that there's a little bit more slack on the turn signal left-hand side to get it over the bar end, and then that should give me enough slack over there once I get the clutch taken off to get the throttle side off. So recommendation is do the switch side. So do the switch side first, get that taken off, and then move this over. I might need to pry the clamp open a little, so I'll do that. I've got the switch gear off. On this side, I was able to stretch things back and forth. What I should have done is pulled the clutch cable out to start with, so that's what I'm working on right now. I've loosened the barrel adjustment on here. I'm gonna have to go down on the bike and adjust it there. I don't think I can, oh no, I got it. And that will be, with that taken off, and then I'm gonna also take the switch off of the clutch, and then that way it'll free up so I'm not tightening, stretching things out. So all right, switch is off, and lever fell off. Okay, so now I've got plenty of space to get the rest of this stuff off. Just need to put my screws up somewhere. So switch gear is off, clutch switch, take that off, and then your clutch cable, drop the clutch cable off, and that will give you the room that you need to get everything off of the throttle side of things. The bars are loosened, I got all the space I need. I can just slide this off, set it there, pull the front brake out. Now I need to take the old bar clamps out and put the new ones in. Looking in the throttle tube, you'll see that tab right there in the center. So that's where the hole in the handlebars needs to go, where that locks into place. So I will have to drill a hole in the handlebars to get that in the right space. On the switchgear side, there is no tab for it to be mounted, so all I have to do is slide that on. There is a Phillips screwdriver, Phillips head on this side that tightens this clamp down. So I just have to slide that on the bars and get it clamped. The bar clamps have an offset position, so you can set them to where the bar is slightly forward or slightly back from the center. It's the same way the previous clamps were, it's just that now these are set for 1.1 inch bars. So I'm going to get these put in place to replace the existing ones, and the block will go right on there. Not a problem. These are just simply a block of aluminum, and I'll wipe down where I took the other ones off. I used a little bit of WD-40 to get through the threads. When I did this before, they were pretty tight and the top bolt was showing a little bit of rough. I'm going to use some Loctite on this like I did the first time when I put the bar risers on. Just not put the old one back in. And that. Alright, I just need to tighten that up, and then we can start putting the bars on. I wanted to show, I'm just going to line the handlebars up, and their hole here is right where my finger is, and just mark where it needs to go on this, the new bar, and just drill it. So I'll end up, I don't have a clamp here, so I'm just going to put the bars in and clamp them down into the bike, and then I'll drill that hole. All right, I've got the hole marked here. It's a little bit forward. This isn't exactly the way I would have liked to have done it, but I don't have all the tools that I would normally have. I'm not punching it like I should. I'm gonna just do the best I can. Okay, pilot hole is drilled. Now I'm gonna get the second hole. It's a 3/16. And it looks like the wall thickness on these bars is quite a bit thicker than the stock ones. That's done. Now we'll try the throttle tube on there and see how it works. We're gonna slide this in. I'm not gonna put the brake in yet. I'm gonna just put this in. Make sure it lines up properly. There we go. Yep. And it's going to be kind of hard. It's right at the end of the bar. I'll try to get a different angle of this once we get it all put on. This is a split clamp. I'm just going to take I'll put the brake on after I get the throttle set on here, and then work with getting the clutch and then get the clutch put on with the switch gear on that side, because the clutch is not split like this one is. Now I lost a screw to the engine monster, so I had to go get a replacement. So now I have some Allens going in. I'm just sliding the clutch lever on it to get it in. There's no cable, there's no switch, it's just putting it on. And then I need to work on getting this switch gear set on. Okay, that's on. Now I can set the handlebars in place. Give them just a little tweak, just to kind of hold things in place. There. Okay, that's in. I took the plastic cap out of here, and I was talking about how I want the metal, these types of retention that have the metal instead of the plastic. I'm more confident that when this expands, as it gets pulled together, it's going to hold in the end of the bar better than the plastic and rubber ones that I've seen. So that's why I chose this style, and I just real quickly made sure that this fits in here, and then I can tighten this up. And make sure I don't get any of this glue on my hands. Okay, glue is on, grip is on. I will try to find some safety wire to wire this as well. I couldn't find any at Home Depot. I don't have any right now. So I need to get this put where I am gonna want it, and that's gonna take a little bit of getting the bar set, and then I can adjust the switchgear. And I'm also gonna roll the clutch down closer to where I think I'm gonna want it, so that it's kind of in that general area where I think I'll want it. Okay, so that's done. Since this was a split clamp, that makes it a lot easier. So the throttle side, it's going to be where it's going to be. So there's no changing where the starter button is going to be, any of that. So wherever it's at is where it's at. I don't really think that's a big deal for me. I know I'm going to have to move some things here based on where I want them, but this is on where I want it. I've got this, got the brake on, got the clutch on, got that grip gluing. I'm gonna start working on getting the handguard on this side. Just roughly lining it up. It looks pretty close. Slide this in and put that in there. I'm gonna try to leave everything loose just to get it pre-fit. Okay. So that's clamped in. I need to clamp these others in. I just need to tighten this and this, and very important making sure that we've got clearance. It's just gonna hit the screen. It doesn't hit it there, but it hits it there. The next thing I need to do is get the bars put kind of where I want them. As far as forward and back, and then get my levers put where I want them. The Enduro Engineering mounting is a little bit different than I expected. It has this bracket thing that goes on the back side. So it looks like it just goes on here somewhere. All right, there's this left side handguard. I'll get the other one on, and then I will give you a shot of this with everything all done. All right, if you made it to the end, thanks for watching. I know this is a really long video. I cover a lot of things going on with the handlebars. It was a challenging edit. It took me some time. It should explain to you in all the details necessary in order to do this upgrade. It's not technically challenging. There's just a few things I had to figure out along the way because this was the first time I had done a handlebar change. I knew there were some things I had to deal with, and I covered that. So if you have any questions about this installation, please leave those in the comments below. If you've done it yourself and have some other comments that you want to add, maybe some tips or some tricks that you use doing the handlebar change, also leave those in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Get out, do some riding, ride safe, and I will see you out there.